Hello everyone and welcome back to my Nook. In this video I want to talk to you about goals because I feel like goals at this day and age right now at towards the end of 2025 goals get a bad rap. And I don't necessarily agree with that, and I want to share my opinion on goals and why I think they're still important, why they still matter, and maybe what some people get a little bit wrong about goals and some of the things that you might read or see out there on the internet or in books. The first thing that I want to say about goals and how they might have a bad identity or might not be very popular right now is because a lot of people are talking about habits, a lot of people are talking about processes, a lot of people are talking about other things than just setting goals. And I think that those ideas and concepts are valid. Like Atomic Habits has sold millions of copies for a reason. Habits and processes and things like that are extremely important. And really, it's those things that make goals successful. You cannot have goals without processes. You can't get goals on a regular basis without good habits. They work very well together. But I think the reason that goals have a bad reputation is because it kind of sucks to not get goals. If you're just thinking about, I want to start a new habit, well, then you're just thinking about the habit. You're not really setting yourself up for failure because you're not really going to do something in a certain amount of time. You're just trying to build a habit. If it's a writing habit or a reading habit or walking or counting calories, like it's just about the habit. It's not about doing it in a certain time frame or having it look a certain way. It's much easier to just work on that habit. When you set a goal, it sucks to not get a goal. It feels bad. When you don't get something when you say you want to get it, yeah, it does kind of feel bad. And so, why would you want to set a goal if I could just have habits or work on processes or just look at it a little bit differently than setting a goal? And then, of course, there is the argument that goals are finite. Once you set a goal and you get it, or that time period is over, it's just done. And so, why would you set a goal when working on a habit or trying to build processes is something that can go on forever? It just keeps on going and going with hopeful continual progress. So this is why I think goals are important, because if you are trying to build a habit, if you really think about it, trying to build a habit or wanting to build a habit is in fact a goal. If you say, I want to build a habit of running, that is a goal to build the habit. If you want to eat better, that is a goal to start learning how to eat better and having a habit of eating better. It's just looking at it a little bit differently. In terms of not getting goals, I would say it's totally fine to not get a goal. The important thing is having goals, because the nice thing about goals, or what I think is really valuable about having something like a goal, is that it gives you something to measure against. It gives you a time frame, it gives you data points or measuring points so that you can see how you're doing, so that you can see if you're making progress, so that you have something that you can look back on and say, I'm making the progress that I want, or I'm not making the progress that I want, and then figuring out what you're going to do from there to adjust or not adjust to improve, or how you can improve. If you don't have a goal, if you're just trying to build a habit, say a writing habit or posting videos on YouTube, if you have a YouTube posting habit and that's something that you want to work on and you're doing great, you're posting every week, but you're not getting any views every week, well, then you're just kind of perpetually doing the same thing without knowing if you're improving or understanding that like you want to improve. And that's where having a goal comes in. If you have a goal to post regularly on YouTube and have your views go up, or to have your average view duration go up, then you have something to measure against. You have something to work with, and you have something to build that habit into so that you are continually improving. And here's the thing, again, I just want to reiterate, it's okay to not get goals. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to be ashamed just because you didn't do or get the thing that you said you wanted to do or get. There are a lot of people out in the world that say that they're going to do things or say that they're going to get things and don't get them on the first try. They don't get them on the 10th try. They don't get them on the 100th try. They don't ever really get them. I know this is kind of an extreme case, but it's one that I like to go back to. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of professional athletes out in the world, and their main goal for most of them is to win a championship. But how many teams, how many players actually win a championship every year? Not that many. Some of the most well known players professionally never win championships. Does that mean that they just give up? No, they keep on coming back every season. They try to get better and they keep working at it. The goal is to win a championship, and they do everything that they can every season to win a championship and in the off season to win a championship. That's the goal. That doesn't mean that if they don't win that championship that they're not a successful professional athlete. It just means that they didn't get the goal. But I would say somebody that's in the Hall of Fame that didn't win a championship is still pretty darn successful. They just didn't get all of their goals. And a lot of people still look up to them. They still do very well. They still created a lot of success in their lives. Basically, goals give you benchmarks to measure against, they give you benchmarks to move towards, and you can always set new goals. You can always set bigger goals, you can set smaller goals. They're things that you can always adjust, and it's something to measure against. If you want to have 10,000 followers on a social media site by a certain time frame, if you're halfway through that time frame and you're still at 0 followers, then you have something to understand and work with that, you know what, something might need to change. But if you just set a habit of, or I want to post twice a week because I want followers, but then you're posting twice a week, you're building the habit, but they're not going anywhere, then, you could be with that habit for years and think that there's just something wrong with Instagram or TikTok or whatever, when really you're not measuring the right things. And so you're not adjusting because the goal isn't there. I just got done editing most of this video and I just want to summarize really quickly. Do I think that goals are somehow more important than habits? No. Are habits more important than goals? No. I think habits and processes are critical to success in life. However, I also want to be a strong advocate for setting goals, whether you hit them or not, because goals are the measuring stick. They provide us the data to say, are we doing enough? Are we going fast enough? Are we adjusting enough? Are our systems and processes and habits working, getting us to where we want to go? If I'm not getting what I say I want in life by the habits that I'm creating, then I'm not doing quite enough, or I'm not quite doing the right things. And yes, it's great to build habits and doing something consistently. And sometimes just the habit itself isn't enough because, again, I could post on Instagram every day for the rest of my life, and for the rest of my life be posting to 5 people. And maybe if that's the goal, just to post every day, that's great. Then you've built a habit and you've done it. But if you have a goal to grow, if you have a desire to get better, if you have a desire to grow, if you have a desire to do something, I feel like that desire itself is a goal. It's not simply a habit. These two things, habits and goals, go hand in hand. They are peanut butter and jelly. They are two other things that go together extremely well that I can't think of right now. So are habits bad? Do I think Atomic Habits is the dumbest book ever because it's just about habits? No. And I also do feel like goals go extremely well with habits because they give you something to measure against. They give you the finish line, they give you the target that you're aiming for. And that's why I think having a goal is so important.